I said to her, I said, I look like I touched a plug. And she said, no, you don't.
No.
So that was, I need to trim my beard though. I'd look a lot more trim.
If you trimmed it?
If I trimmed it. Well, a quick green bean update for those of you. I have developed a slow leak in my rear passenger tire, and I have tried everything. I'm gonna have to find a place in town, a tire place that can deal with wire wheels. So that is gonna be an upcoming challenge. I have to have somebody examine the tire and put a new tube in there for me and that kind of stuff. I wish I had a tire machine. I'd do it myself.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't either. Well, it's Friday, folks. It's Friday, and despite my leaking rear wheel, I'm here and ready to answer questions and do things like that. Something else I was going to talk about, and I'll be damned if I remember what it was.
Wrist check.
That's a good idea. Let's do wrist check. So today, Sabrina is wearing, in honor of the late not Paul Newman, his very good friend, Robert Redford. Sabrina's wearing the red 1680. I built her out of bits and parts and things. It's a nice watch. It always makes me happy that it works for her and that she enjoys it. It was a lot of fun to build. What was that about?
Oh, I thought it was your turn.
It is my turn, but I wasn't done with you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, I'll live. And I am wearing this. This is sort of a no-name watch, AM, and the dial text is faded. This was a real standard, almost generic Swiss-style chronograph. It has a Landron 248 in it, a great movement, underrated, and people should look for more Landron movements. They're really good quality. But it's the kind of thing that if you were traveling to Switzerland or leaving, you'd get this at a duty-free shop or something like that, and you'd be able to go home and say, hey, look at my beautiful new Swiss watch. It's a hand winder with a chronograph with a minute counter up to 30 minutes and running seconds in this 62 MAS style profile case, but with a diver ring. I'm fond of diver rings on chronographs. I just think they're neat. Plus, it means I can get away with wearing leather. Okay. Well, we're here. It's a lovely Saturday and fall.
It's not Saturday.
It's not Saturday. It's a lovely Friday and fall has arrived and the air got chill. And it's been pretty sweet. It's been very, very nice. So it's a good day to be here in the garage. Mm-hmm. You want to do this thing?
Okay.
Okay. Hey, look, you can see my Star Trek phaser. We've been watching a lot of Star Trek. We've been we put off watching Star Trek. We tried watching Discovery years ago, and it was so terrible. We just couldn't keep up with it. And then she thought it would be interesting, so we actually have started. We watched Strange New Worlds, all of it, and I have thoughts and feelings about that. But we've also been watching the original Star Trek from the 60s, a whole fresh from the beginning watch. I haven't watched it for like 20 years. All of them sat down. It's probably even longer than that. I watched them. They were on after school. When I was a kid, they started being serialized when I was, I think, 5. And so you'd watch them after school, and I'm sitting there watching all of them, and they're just so cheesy. They're so cheesy. It's crazy how cheesy they are.
Oh, I like them.
I have to just keep telling myself they're not actual television. They're a stage play being filmed. It's the only way it makes sense.
What else were we watching that you had to tell yourself that about?
Oh, Blackadder. Which does very much have that feeling. It very much feels like, college theatrics or something with a home built, with a stage that the crew put together, and that definitely had that. Let's watch a movie for stage play. And with that, let's answer questions.
From mail call from however long ago.
Don't be snoopy at me. I sometimes we get going and I realize I worry that we haven't said the name of the video that the questions come from.
I say it every time. I've never not said it.
Okay, all
so
right.
He
Well,
doesn't
we're all
listen
on
to
the same page.
He doesn't listen to me.
I always listen to you. I worry. I just, people take the time to watch these videos. I want to make sure I'm doing what I can so that they feel that their time has been wisely invested.
Well, I'm sorry I used the same tone of voice. What?
Nothing. I was looking at the garage sale sign.
Oh. Nacho Valenti. Congratulations, Spencer, on your 20K subscribers. I had no idea.
I snuck that in there for you. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I had no idea. I had no idea. 20,000.
Cool.
20,000. You know, and people watch our videos, and I'm very grateful for people watching our videos. And, you know, it's fun that people watch them. I never set out to have anybody watch our videos. That was never the point. I'm gratified by it, but I never expected it. All I ever wanted to do was just prove to the owners of the watches that I actually did something to their watches. Well, I wanted people to really have an insight into what was happening so they could see what was happening with their watches themselves and have a better feeling. Isn't it nice? You have a watch and it's not just this object, this thing on the outside. You can look at it in your mind, the 3D breakdown of the movement, and you know your own watch. You can trust it. You know what it's supposed to look like. You know that it's good. You know it's been done. So, I mean, that's the only reason I ever made those videos. I'm just grateful that people watch them and keep watching them. I'll keep making them.
Okay. Also from Nacho Valenti. First things first, thank you so much for another mail call. Now talking about the Seiko 7002 that I received for my communion. Unfortunately, I only have the watch itself. I remember it came in its box with some papers, but over the years and a few moves, I lost track of it. In fact, over time, I changed the strap and I didn't keep the original either. That wouldn't happen to me today. Since 1996, I've had it serviced twice in Madrid. Except for some small marks on the case and bezel, it is in pretty good condition. Thank you again, Spencer and Sabrina.
Oh, yeah. No, well, no, thank you. There's going to be some 7002 action later down in this video. Another gentleman had a question about 7002 stuff, so I'm going to be digging out all my 7002 stuff so we can maybe look at some 7002s.
Well, guess what?
What?
That's the next video people
The next,
are
really?
talking. Yep.
Wow.
For our
Synchronicity.
Seiko 7002, 7001. Val and Gray Moon 5623. I have one of these since new from 1994, and it is a JDM model with a Japan marked movement.
Okay.
Curious that this one has a Singapore movement.
I don't have access to the watch that video was about. That watch got sold a long, long time ago. If I watched the video, it probably shows the movement. That would be the next thing to do. But why don't I dig out my 7002 material and we can look it over. Maybe we'll find some information. Maybe we'll just get to talk about watches. Who knows? So let me put that in. Okay, so I dug through my stuff and is this original? Is this okay. Oh, that's aftermarket. Yeah, this is all aftermarket stuff. These 7002s, they just got the heck modded out of them. You know, in the aughts, people would mod them like crazy. It's not so easy to find them in this condition. These are original. Bi-directional, JDM. This is a nice watch. Scuba divers, Japan A, 7002, 7001, 1992. So that is pretty close to what you have there. Yours, you said 1994. I'm not even sure that I've ever even looked inside this watch. Get off there. Nice. Look at that. Seiko Time Core 7002A, Singapore. Wow, this movement's in fantastic looking shape. Wow, look at that. Wow, it looks brand new. Look at the shine in the metal. Wow, this is in nice condition. I just realized I can answer a question from another person thing, but I'll do it another time. That's a nice, nice, nice watch. That's dead stock, too. Wow, holy cow, that's a nice watch. Jeez, oh Pete. So what do we got here? This is a World 1. Stainless. Does not say Japan A, just says A. This is from 93. 7002, 7009. It is the World model. Let me, here's my plastic. Oh. Come on. There we go. Whew, that did not want to come. I did not want to get out of there. Another shiner. Look at that. Seiko Time Corp, Hong Kong. 7002, Singapore. So this has Singapore on the weight. What's it say on the movement? No stamping on the plates whatsoever. Look at that. Doesn't say a thing on the plates. It only says it on the weight. Hong Kong, Singapore. Yeah, I'd be willing to lay money that case back has never been off this watch. Totally original. Another nice example. This is the later, these are the transitionals when the ISO changed to where you had to have a unidirectional bezel. That's when these came out. This watch is a bit of a mystery. It's got this Pepsi bezel, right? And I would swear every single piece of this watch is original. All those hands are original. All that loom's original. Movement Singapore. No Japan A. This is 95. But the chapter ring and the dial aren't blue. They're black. But this is every single piece of this watch is original. I don't know. This is the standard model, the black model. You see they look the same. I'm not getting any blue. Are you getting any blue vibes off of that? No Japan A, just A. Scuba divers, movement Singapore. Oh, I got it. Boy, that one didn't want to come off either. Seiko Time Corp, Hong Kong. This movement's a little... Are there any servicing marks inside this case back? I don't see any. Boy, the gasket's ancient. It's just there's all the fine scratches on the movement. I don't know what that's about. Again, nothing on the plates itself, only on the weight. This one had a harder working life. No, there you are, looking at some 7002.
And we're back.
Restoring a Seiko MACV SOG 6119-8101. Super U1T. They were able to bring these home because accountability was lax. Most were destroyed by the environment or passed on to the next guy coming in. So these were considered expendable supplies as long as you had signatures. Okay, then somebody, Aaron Costello 8812, said concerning this, the military didn't want any equipment being used by MACV SOG to be traceable back to the United States government. Nearly everything they used was locally sourced. It's my understanding that these watches were basically handed out like candy. The SOG guys would actually give these away as gifts or rewards to the indigenous forces they were working with, and they were highly prized.
That is super interesting. There's so little information that we have about this. And I'm sure there's so much stuff that I don't know about them. like I had no idea that they were given out widely. I would have thought that they were kind of hard to get a hold of, but I mean, we know that there were military contracts to get batches of these watches from Seiko. Them being not like super common, them, I mean, being common, being handed out a lot, also explains something I've wondered about, which is how so many of these could have come back. I mean, how many guys were in Mac V SOG back in the day? And yet we can find these watches. I mean, you can find them. They're not impossible to find, and there's usually one or a couple around that you can hunt down. So I've been wondering about this for years. I mean, how many guys were issued those? How many guys came back with them, kept them for this amount of time, long enough that they would get past the point that they were worth nothing and people didn't know what they were, to today where people understand what they are. They would have to survive that entire period between being issued and somebody saying, oh my gosh, this is a Mac V SOG 6119. And yet they're not hard to find. I mean, I've owned a good number of them, and you can find them today. It's curious. So if you have any more information about that, I'd love to talk to you more about it, basically, Aaron. If you want to email me or chat with me or do something, please do. KVW, KleinVintageWatchRepair.com, because I want to learn more, because there's a lot about them that I don't know. So if people know more than me, I want to know.
Travis Smith 7100. Spencer, could you answer a question I have? The KND model 123X. I see that you use it to wind in both directions. Is that a different die? Will the original die grab turning it towards you, even having an angle on the pin? Any help would be great.
That K&D winder set, a lot of these winders, they have the hook has kind of a slope on the back of it. So you have the roundness of the mainspring arbor like this, and then you have that hook on it which will catch the mainspring and go forward. That's usually what these mainspring winders are like, and it's why they're handed. Like you have to have a left-hand set and a right-hand set. Those K&D winders of mine, they just have a pin. And so you can use them for either side. You just have to get used to the reverse, mechanics for winding in a left-handed versus a right-handed mainspring. I don't believe that they look like they're modded. They're what I use, and I just got used to them. I have some of the other kind with the sort of the sloping hook, and they're actually kind of a pain in the... I'm just not used to them.
Pain in the tuchus.
Pain in the tuchus. I'm just not used to how they go. So maybe I've got something special.
Maybe.
They were the ones there was a guy, the old guy watchsmith in town here when I started up, the old dude. I bought out his shop basically, and these were his. They're actually, he initialed them. So, I mean, he was a pretty masterful dude. He could have modded them. He could have customized them. I wouldn't put it past him. I'd ask him. That's not possible anymore.
No.
Oh, well.
Okay, the next one has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I think they just randomly put a question.
Okay.
Tobias Carlson 4043. Hi, I watch a lot of your videos.
Thank you.
I can't seem to find online though how you remove the dial on a 6458. I'm sure you know. It seems to be a bit different from the 7548 as there's no dial screws.
Yeah, I'll just put in a little segment. I'll show you how it goes.
Okay, here we are. That is an example of this super cool model. This is 6458-6000. This very watch is for sale on our website. Bidirectional. It doesn't really click. But the question was, how do you unscrew the dial? And I have another incomplete example of that model. And how you deal with those. These are really high quality movements, by the way. These, see that right here? There's a dial foot. Where's the other dial foot? Oh, it's over here. It's right there. The way these work, this is an eccentric. So what you do is you turn this until the fat part comes over and holds onto this. And so in order to undo it, come on, well, you just turn the opposite direction, like so. And that releases your dial. Yeah, these are cool. Really, really nice quality movements, fully jeweled. This is a nice, that's all the original loom. Inserts worn on this one. It's a nice watch. Somebody sitting around who needs a mid-sized quartz diver. There you go.
4SL Super Seiko 6105 8110 XE Cret. Hi, Spencer. Out of curiosity, was the day wheel kept on the replacement movement?
Okay, so this was one where the customer had an already modded 6105. It had had a 7548 quartz movement put into it years ago, along with an aftermarket dial and handset. And it had died, the movement had died. And the customer decided that he was like, well, hey, he wrote me, he's like, do you want to, let's put a movement in this thing. And so it being that it was already modded, I went ahead and sort of hot rodded a 6309 movement and put that one in. What was that was some background there. Whether the day wheel was on that movement. I didn't, it's still on the 7548 movement. I could have moved it to the 6309 movement. You wouldn't see it because it'd be underneath the dial, but I didn't move it over because it's an incredibly negligible amount of drag, but having a day wheel does add a little tiny bit of drag at the date changeover, just a tiny amount. And so that's gonna hit or can hit accuracy just a tiny bit. Same with amplitude, just a little bit. So why put it in there? There's no need. It's a spare part anyway. And so I pulled it and it got returned to the customer along with the, no, I didn't pull it. It's still on the movement on the 7548.
4GG Seiko 6139 6005 restoration. The Dog Barber. The last few minutes with all the old parts is always the best part.
I've read this comment and I think about it a lot, and I try to make my videos, you know, at least slightly entertaining to watch. So I'm always kind of racking my brain for you to try to make that last end segment of the videos, you know, if I can think up something interesting to throw in there for you, I'll do it. So, you know, just know that I'm thinking about it.
4TH Seiko 7005 8052 Poor Man's 62 MAS. Toby S96. I found one of these in the bag of watches I kept from my dad after he passed away. I do remember him wearing it when I was a kid. It doesn't wind my hand, but it does work if I put it on my watch winder. Just sent it in for an estimate for service and repair today. I'm in the UK. The video was brilliant, seeing what makes the watch tick. My dial and hands have some of the chrome peeling slightly. I might see if this can be touched in just so it looks like a bit better. But the case and the bezel can stay exactly as they were.
Okay, so the way that those dials are built is they're made of brass and then they're plating. So if you have water damage or something, what happens is the plating starts to come up off the dial. There's no way that I know of to really touch it up that works. There are some new paints that I would love to try. There's some, it's a new formulation like a couple of years ago, this like super crazy advanced mirror paint that and it's designed to replicate a high polish surface like that. I keep forgetting to look for it. It's a super self-leveling metallic paint that produces an absolute mirror shine on a smooth surface. So I should really try to remember to do that. The handsets on those are actually pretty common. Seiko used that handset on a bunch of different watches in the middle and early 70s. So if ever you need a handset, you know, you can always write me and I'll see if I can poke around and find you some listings of some movements or some models that had those. You had a bag of watches from your dad. What else did you have in there? Not for any other reason than curiosity. I mean, my watch journey in life started because of a cigar box full of my grandfather's old watches. We used to go back east when I was.
Oh, I thought you meant the thing that started the current.
No, 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 no. No, like the first time I remember being like, wow, about watches. My grandparents had this amazing house, this beautiful house back in New England. We'd go back in the summers because my dad was a professor, and so he wasn't teaching in summer. And he would want to basically foist off his wife and children off on his in-laws, so he would take off to the local university where he would work to just probably not be around anybody. But their house was like this amazing, like wonderful museum full of curiosities and antiques, and every wall had stuff on it, and you know, all these Asian antiques and all this stuff, and they never got rid of anything. And there was this beautiful cigar box my granddad had. In fact, I still have it, I think. But he had all of his wristwatches in it. And I just remember looking at them. I remember very clearly looking at those watches, and just that started the journey. So what's in your bag of journey starting watches?
4RR Seiko 6105 8119 long sweep transitional 971 evaluation September. That's
I kept typing maybe.
white veil, super cool find, really amazing quality, seemingly only being serviced once.
Yeah, it was in this 6105. This guy found it at the thrift store for $12.99. And it's not just that he found it for $12.99, but it's the fact that it was like the perfect amount of wear. And that dial is gorgeous, like really, really matte. A lot of times the black surface on those dials is like a satin, not a semi-gloss, but kind of more satiny. This one, it was just almost just perfectly flat. And that with the very satin finish, the marker tops, it's an unusual looking 6105. It's like the most unique looking dead stock 6105 I can remember seeing in a long, long time, aside from something like, you know, Eric Strickland and his beautiful tan loom 6105 8000, gorgeous honey colored loom on that thing, amber colored loom. But it was a heck of a piece, an amazing find, you know, at any price. But $12.99, I hope we went out and bought a lottery ticket.
For sale, Seiko H558 5000. Haruka 07Y. Hello, I recently purchased this watch, which was described as overhauled. However, the bezel is very stiff and difficult to turn. When I asked the seller, they said they had serviced everything except the bezel. My question is, would using an air duster to remove any dirt and then apply a silicone spray, non-solvent type, to the gap of the bezel help make it rotate more smoothly?
Okay, first, this is not a watch that he bought from me. He was commenting on a video that I had for a watch for sale, but he bought one from another individual. Okay, there's no real substitute for getting the bezel off and cleaning out all the junk that's underneath there. Because it's going to be dirty. It could be rust jacked, because if it starts rusting in those tight spaces between the rotating ring and the case and the crystal retaining ring, it rust jacks. The rust expands, and it'll crack up stuff and start to do real damage. So you really want to be able to get that stuff taken out of there. That said, there is a technique I use when I'm trying to get a really stuck rotating ring off. A lot of times you need to get them moving. That'll really help them, because they'll be caked in place with dirt and salt and rust and all this other stuff. If you run in a tiny amount of like lighter fluid, and what you're just trying to do is basically just start to break down the stuff that's in there and provide a little bit of lubrication, and you might be able to get it to turn again, but you're not fixing it. It's got to be pulled. It's got to be cleaned. I guess if it was 100% clean and being kind of sticky, the problem is you've got to be able to get any lubricant. You can't just sort of fill the thing with lubricant and hope. You have to get lubricant where it needs to go, which is on the O-ring that runs on the inside of that rotating ring. Trying to get oil in there, it's not going to get up. You would have to like soak the watch in oil in order to get enough oil in there, and then there'd be oil everywhere. You just need to get the rotating ring off. So if you don't already have a case knife and a crystal press, I would suggest picking those up. You can get them on Amazon. They're not a lot of money. I mean, they really aren't. They're simple machines. They come with dies and all this stuff. You can even get a Seiko branded case knife. I've been using mine for like 15 years, and they're well made and they do what they're supposed to do. So get the tools and I guess, do your research. And if you have any questions, write me.
Seiko 6309 150 meter diver, manual winding and care of the screwed down crown. Honest guy review. Hey man, I had a question. 6309 7049, and I think the threads are stripped. What are my options? Buy a new case?
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, yeah. The thing is, I wrote you back an email about this, but there's steges, there's steps of things you can do. First, you got to determine if what?
You were going to do a segment.
Oh, I was. Why don't I do a segment?
Okay. Standing in for 6309, we have a modern 7S diver case, but the principle is the same. You have a crown tube, threads on it like so, and a crown that is internally threaded. So what happens is people put these in and they're not careful, and they cross thread them, and then your threads get damaged. Most of the time, a replacement crown will help. Sometimes, though, you're going to need to use something with a really fine, sharp, hard point to clear and open these threads. I use an X-Acto knife. I'm not doing this here. I would tape off the whole case, but sometimes you get these threads here at the top start getting mashed. So you go and you kind of want to chase them. Chase the threads to open the threads, and you're not really bearing down, you're just trying to, as much as you can, getting around to open those threads up. I also have a tool that I made where it's a cut open C-shaped section, threaded section of the inside of a crown, and I have a cut open like this so I can move it all the way to the inside beyond any mashed threads, and then thread it backwards to try to open those threads up again. But here's the number one thing you do to help with your crown threads. When you're going to screw your crown down, don't jam it in and just, start going at it. You push it in and turn it backwards until you feel the click of the threads coming together. Like that. Then you turn forward and screw down.
Okay.
4RM. Seiko 57178990 one button chrono evaluation. Neil Shapiro 8197. So do I understand the single pusher starts, stops, and resets the chrono hand?
That's it. Yeah, it's an incredibly cool little system. I mean, they based it on, there's a lot of stopwatch technology that does the same thing, click, click, click. And they basically just made a stopwatch with an additional 24-hour timekeeping feature. That's kind of literally what they did. But it's a great design. You don't have to fiddle around with resets and buttons and stuff. Just click, click, click. I think it's fantastic. The next one I can think of is, well, these Landerons, they have two buttons. It's start, stop, reset. I think the one button solution is very elegant and such an elegant watch.
4SB Lucien, is that how it's pronounced?
I say Lucien Picard.
Whatever. Sea Shark. AICD 1999. Thank you for the great video, Spencer. I have 2 of these at gold and a silver complete. I can't remember why I haven't restored them. Maybe it was because of the case or the mainspring. Anything else I should be looking out for during the process?
I'm looking at, there's a dying wasp going across the floor.
And he has a fuzzy stuck to him.
It's hard day being a wasp. Doesn't look like things are going great.
I don't care. I hate wasps.
Things to look out for. It's an interesting movement. It has a couple peculiarities in terms of like how the screws, like the train bridge has 3 separate sizes of screws: big, medium, small. there is the way that the automatic winding works. There's a wheel that sits underneath it's an hour wheel that sits underneath the barrel, and it looks like it just sits there, but it actually is screwed in place. It has a center screw with a beveled under beveled screw head, but the screw is tiny. It's like a flake of pepper. It's incredibly small, and it's one of the two errors I had to go back. Is I missed that screw, and I was like, and I looked, and I figured out where it went from, but don't make my mistake like that. Beyond that, you can pull the winding weight without unscrewing it. That's another thing. It's got those two weird little screws in it. One actually screws down and holds down sort of a fixing plate, and the other screw is for this locking lever that you can turn in and out that locks the weight in place so that you can unlock it and pull the weight off. I disassembled it, which you don't necessarily need to do. You could actually clean that in place and then lubricate it there. I gave myself basically more work. The last thing is that the cases, they're gold. This one was gold. But in order to make the watch more affordable, rather than machining the cases out of solid gold, they were stamped out of sheet gold, which means they're sort of lightly built. And that one, from having the crystal replaced so many times, it has this like little stamped in L profile shelf on the inside of the case. And from that being, from the crystal going in and being pressed and all this stuff over and over again, eventually it got work hardened, and that whole shelf, for the most part, sheared off. Just be careful when you're laying that thing in. If you're going to be, replacing the crystal, really hauling in there, be as gentle as you can. And in fact, if you can, support that shelf inside the case from the underneath so that all your force is going directly onto a flat sheet of gold. It's not flexing that thing down. You're supporting it. That's what I would think would need to happen. Besides that, the hand stack is really tight. That was another thing with that watch. I actually toyed with the idea of underlooming the hands as a present to Saul. I didn't know if he wanted to do that though, so I said, maybe I shouldn't do that. It's a good thing I didn't try, because if I had, I might have really caused myself a problem, because the hand clearance was really tight. And the loom, as thin as I could make it, would still add to that, and the hands might start hitting each other. So you really got to make sure that those hands are really flat to the plane, because of the curve of the crystal, like the minute hand tip curves down like this to the point that it's barely off of the dial. You just got to make sure that the hands are set correctly, but it's a lovely movement. It's just a nice movement. That's it? Mm-hmm. Is that it? Mm-hmm. That's it. I guess that's it. Not much else going on.
Now go to segmenting.
Oh, no, after this, I'm going to go and I'm going to make my segments, and then, because I got enough time to do everything, and then go off to get Sebastian, and then all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching, as always, and we will see you next time. Bye.